Okay, hello everybody. In this demo, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to complete this color wheel using primary, secondary, tertiary colors. And so the very first thing we want to do is we want to number off each of these slices. And so the first thing that, in order to do that, we are going to determine where the split from the top to the bottom 6 are. And so it's right here. Now that we've cut it in half, we can go ahead and we can start numbering. So this first one to the left is going to be 1, and then we are working clockwise. So then the first top are going to be the first 6, and then we're going to keep it going so that we have the last 12. All right. Make sure your first, last name, period number are on there too. From here, we're going to go ahead and we are going to start with the primary colors. Now, based off of the lecture and conversation we had in class, we determined that the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are making sure that we have those colors in our set of color pencils. And so we're going to take out this red. The red is also known as carmine. We're taking out the yellow. This one's titled yellow. And then we are taking out the blue. Since there are 2 types of blue, this one's known as the dark blue. Okay. Additionally, if you feel like your pencils are really short and need to be sharpened, you can go ahead and take this time to pause the video and sharpen any pencils you need. Okay, I went ahead and I sharpened mine, but you can go ahead and do that if you need. Now what we are going to do is we're going to start adding these 3 colors into our color wheel, but very important that we're not just placing them randomly. And so we're going to start with red or the carmine, and we are placing this in number 1. Now I do want you guys to kind of practice different techniques with the color pencil, and so we're going to make a nice smooth surface or overlay of color. And so we're going to do that using the smudging technique, which is a technique that you should have already practiced in my classroom. If you haven't, it's totally fine. We just go ahead and we hold our pencil to on its side. We press it down, and if you need more pressure, you can go ahead and add your index finger over the top of your pencil. Right. We want to make sure that the color is laying nice and evenly, and so if you're noticing that there's some areas that are darker than others, then one way we can kind of fix that is by coloring in different directions. So just now you guys saw me going horizontally. I'm going to switch the rotation of my paper, and I'm going to go vertically going downward. Just go ahead and do that there too. And another technique you can use is actually still holding our pencil kind of pointed, but rather than going in and doing something like this where we can see the line, I would suggest going in a circle. That way it seems more blended and more evenly distributed. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get slightly closer. Okay, and I'm going to do that same technique. And so you guys can see that right now we're getting that nice even blend. And so hopefully we're not seeing any of those lines. And then we can also go in different directions too. So now going in the opposite direction. Okay, and so now we have a nice even blend of that red. We're going to go ahead and The next primary color that we have is yellow, so we're going to grab the yellow. The yellow we're going to place in number 5, and because the yellow is so bright, we actually don't end up seeing any of its like lines. We don't see a lot of like the differences in shade, and so we don't actually have to be as careful when applying the yellow. So right now I'm just going in with a lot of pressure, and we can't really see all of the line work again because that yellow is super bright, and so it actually allows us to move and work a little bit more quickly. Okay, and then the last color is the blue, and so we are grabbing that blue and we are going to place it in number 9, and this time I'm just going to use that circle technique where I'm moving my pencil. Even though it's pointed, I'm moving it in a circle direction. That way it's getting nicely blended and a nice even coat. And then taking it all the way down here. And since all of these colors are the primaries, we are going to go ahead and we are going to identify that. So we're going to write down okay. If you go a little bit off of the lines, that's totally okay. In fact, you can grab one of the beat up erasers from class and you can go in and you can kind of clean up your edges if it's bothering you. We are going to end up putting color in these, so I'm not super worried about it. They're all eventually going to have that color, but you can go in and erase if you'd like. Okay, from here we're grabbing our pencils, and because this is a primary and a primary and a primary, we're going to go ahead and we are going to label those. Now, as you guys can see, the color wheel is not complete, and it's not complete because red, yellow, and blue are not the only colors to exist. In fact, there are other colors that we can create or we can include, and one way that we can include them is by creating them. We can create them with the 2 colors or the 3 colors that are already present. And so one really great way to do this is you look at one of the colors. For this example, we're going to look at red, and then we decide which of these 2 colors is closer to red. Is the yellow closer to red, or is the blue closer to red? And when we're really looking at it, you can tell that they're both equally spaced out. So they're equally as close and as far away from the red. So it ultimately doesn't matter where we start. I want to go ahead and we are going to actually start with the yellow, and so red and yellow, we are going to start layering those 2 colors together. Now, when we're looking at these 2 colors, we have to decide which of the 2 is lighter. In this instance, it's going to be the yellow. So the yellow we are going to start with first. Because we are mixing these 2, when we mix them, the color that we create is actually going to be found here on number 3. And I'm just going in with a bunch of pressure because we're going to lay red on top of this yellow, and we want to be able to see the yellow underneath that red. And so I'm going in with a bunch of it. And you guys are going to see that maybe some of the colored pencil is going to kind of smear with the pencil. That's totally fine. It's normal. From here, we're going in with the red. The red, we're not going to add as much pressure. And I'm going in that circle motion to try to keep it nice and even. Of course, if you're noticing that there's some areas that are lighter than you're meaning to do, you can just go over them a second time. Okay, and then I'm just going to clean it up over here. And so from here, we actually ended up with a new color. This color is known as orange, and orange is also classified as a secondary color. So this is orange. And we're going to go ahead and an S up there, that is for secondary. We're going to go ahead and now we're going to mix the red with the blue now that we've already done with the yellow. And so if we're looking at the two, which one's lighter? The red is lighter, so we're going to start with red. When these two are mixed together, our new color is going to end up here on number 11. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start coloring it in with a bunch of pressure. And I'm going to color the rest of this in off camera. Okay, now that this red is completed, I'm going to go over it with the color blue, and let's see if that color changes or becomes something different. And I'm going to do the rest of this off camera as well. All right, and so now after applying the blue, we see that we have created a new color. This new color is purple, and purple is also known as violet. Okay. And so this one is our second secondary color. Now we're left with the last two primaries, which we haven't mixed together. We're going to go ahead and mix them, and that mixture is going to be placed in number 7. Now, looking at the two, which of the two is lighter? We see that the yellow is, so we're going to start with the yellow first. I'm going to apply a very, very intense pressure. I'm going to lay a lot of pressure on this yellow so that we can see it behind the blue. And so I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. Okay, and so this is what it should look like. Now we're ready to go ahead and start adding the blue. All right, so we're grabbing the blue. And I'm not going to add a lot of pressure behind this color blue, just so that it doesn't overpower the yellow. And so already we can see or notice a slight change in the color, which is awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and color the rest of this off camera. Okay, and so now we've created a new color. This new color is also known as green. And so green is our last secondary. Now, as we are taking a look at our color wheel, we notice that the color wheel is still not complete. We have a few spaces still empty. In fact, we have 6 of them. These 6 are known as the tertiary colors. So right now we're just going to go ahead and we are going to label all of these as the tertiaries. And what we're noticing is that the color wheel actually has a pattern going on. That's why colors can't just be placed randomly. There's a reasoning behind why each color is in a specific area. And so right here we're noticing that the red and the yellow, the reason the orange is in the middle is because when we mix those two, right, that's the color we create. We're seeing that same pattern over here with the red and the blue. We're seeing that mixture is right in the middle. It's purple. And the same with the yellow and the blue. Right in the middle, we're creating that green. And so to create these tertiary colors, we're going to follow the same pattern. Only this time, we're not going to mix the red and the yellow again because we've already created the secondaries. Instead, what we're going to do is we're now going to start mixing the primaries with the secondaries, and those are going to create our tertiaries. So this time, I want you guys to go into your pencil containers. We're going to take out the orange. We're going to take out the dark green, so the dark green, and we're taking out the violet, so the violet, okay? And the rest of these can go to the side. And so now we're going to start with number 2. If we have to mix these two colors together, then the colors we're grabbing are going to be red and orange. Now of the two, which one's lighter? Well, the orange is lighter. We know the orange is lighter because orange actually has yellow in it. And earlier we decided that yellow was lighter than the red. So the orange is going to be laid down first. And so I'm going to go in with a lot of pressure behind my orange, because as soon as we start layering that darker color, which is red in this example, we want to make sure that we can still see that orange right underneath the layer of red. And so that's what we are doing. Okay. From there, we're going to go in, not as intensely with the orange, or as we did with the orange, but we're gonna go in with the red. Let's see. Okay. Going in with the red. And we are now noticing that there is a change in color. A completely new color has been created. And we know that that was going to happen because this is a tertiary. It's classified as a different type of color already. And so the color that we're noticing is a red orange. So a combination of these two, red, orange. Also R-O. So for red, orange. Red, orange, R-O. Okay, we're going to start doing the same thing for each of these because we are in a pattern. And so for number 4, we are mixing the orange and the yellow. Between the two of them, the yellow is brighter, it's lighter, so we're going to go in with a lot of pressure to complete this one. And I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. So now that we have the yellow, we're going in on top with the orange, and I'm not going to go in with a lot of pressure on this orange either. And so we're noticing that the yellow is getting slightly darker, but that the orange itself is getting slightly lighter. And so we've created a completely new color, and this one's known as orange yellow. So orange yellow. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump into number 6. So we're mixing yellow and green, yellow being lighter, so we're going to layer this yellow first. Okay, now that we have that yellow, we're going to go in with the green. And we're just going to lightly layer that in. And again, you can go in different directions so that we're not seeing the scratches of the pencil. We want to make sure that it looks like a nice even layer. And so I went in 2 different directions, but in actuality, you can actually go in multiple directions. Okay, and so now we've created a yellow green. And so this is known as yellow green. And we're going to continue this cycle. So between these two, right? Which one's lighter? The green is lighter. We know this because we needed yellow and blue to create the green. Because green has that yellow, green is lighter than blue. So we're going to go in and we're going to layer this in green. And I'm going in with a bunch of pressure because the blue is going to be really dark. We want to make sure that we can see the green behind that blue. Okay. Okay, now that we have that green, we're going to go in with the blue. And we are slowly seeing this color slightly darken. And this color can be classified as almost like a teal or a turquoise, right? This is what we know it as, but we're just going to keep it super simple. And so now that we've layered both of these, the new color that it's created is a green blue. And so that's what we're going to name it. Green, blue, GB, GB. Okay, that's the new color. Now we're going in over here, blue and purple. Between the two, which one's lighter? Well, a lot of people have confusion about this. In fact, it is the purple that is actually lighter because purple has that red, right? We needed the red and the blue to create purple. We said red was lighter, so we're going to go in with the purple. And I'm actually putting a lot of pressure behind my hand here too, so that we can really see that purple behind or underneath the blue. I know the blue doesn't look super intense, but once we start layering it on, you start to notice just how dark it can actually make other colors. And when we start to use paint, it's even more intense of of a blue, and so it gets slightly darker. From here, we're going to go in with the blue. And so now we've created something kind of similar to a blue violet, okay, or blue purple. So blue purple or blue violet, okay. And then the very last one is this one here where we're mixing the red and the purple. Because purple has that blue in there, we're going to start with the red. And I'm going to go in with a lot of pressure here too, so that we can see the red underneath that purple. Okay. Then from here, we're going in with that purple. And then we're going in separate directions. Okay, and so because we layered these two, it is going to be known as red, purple. So right here, red, purple. And so right now, the entire color wheel is complete. We've already included all of the colors. However, we are missing some analogous colors. What this is telling us is that if there are no more spaces, here in the color wheel, that means the analogous colors are already present. And so for those of you who don't know, analogous colors are typically colors that sit next to each other in the color wheel, but they don't just sit next to each other in the color wheel. They also all have to be a secondary, a primary, and a tertiary. So it has to be each of these sitting together in the color wheel. So where do we see that? Well, we can see it in every three colors. Right here, we have the primary, we have a tertiary, and we have a secondary. All three of these colors are together. So these right here would be known as analogous colors. We see the orange, right, the secondary, the tertiary, yellow, orange, and the primary. So I want you guys to just write down any down here. I'm going to write green, blue, right? This one is the secondary, this is the primary, and then